so delighted to see you. Thank you for being here and being a part of this really remarkable recognition. It's something that we are very excited as a city to put on twice a year, and happy you could join us. And we are here to celebrate the next group of Coronado's very own hometown heroes. These are locals, loved ones, and friends who have honorably served our community. And I'm Tina Friend, I'm Coronado City Manager, and it is such a true pleasure and honor to be with you today. This is my favorite event the city puts on. This is my third time hosting. And every time I'm here, I am moved beyond belief with the stories, with the commitment, and the histories of all the honorees in the current class and prior classes. This banner ceremony is something special too. I've not seen it in any other community, and it really allows us to come together to honor the many men and women who've lived in Coronado before, during, or after their military careers. So irrespective of branch or history, we're all brought together by Coronado. And like you, I'm excited to hear the biographies of the honorees, to see all the family and friends who attended today. And I know some of you traveled from quite far distances. I think I heard the East Coast even for today. So thank you very much for your travel to be with us. And ultimately to learn about their military careers and really celebrate the commitment and all the achievements. It's just an outstanding event. So in addition to being city manager of Coronado, I have a connection with the military, which makes this event very personal for me too. I'm very proud to have been the daughter of an Army service member. Yes, I love it. We're in a Navy town, but there's always Army in the room. So my father had a 20-plus year career, and growing up in that household, I learned so many lessons about selflessness, service, and as an adult, and especially working in this community where we are so steeped in the military, it's really driven home to me how honored and special it was. I also have a grandfather who was in the Marines and fought World War II. And yes, of course. We're talking in the red and white up there. And he had remarkable stories of fighting in World War II in the Pacific Theater. And again, just incredibly touched that he survived and endured and went on to continue to serve his country in many other ways. So I really do love and enjoy this event. And before we go any further, I want to take a moment to recognize a few special guests we have with us today. So I'll ask that you please stand when I introduce you. So from the Coronado City Council, we have Councilmember Mike Donovan in the front. And we have Councilmember Marvin Hines. Both Navy captains, as you likely know. We have our Assistant City Manager, Tony Winnie, here. To us about 4 months on and really enjoying Coronado and our deep military traditions. And we're very honored to have Naval Base Coronado Commanding Officer, Captain Dwight Clemens. And we also have former Commanding Officer, Tim Slentz. We saw you come in, so we're happy to honor you. Okay, next from the Coronado Historical Association, we have Dave Landon. Also former Navy captain and CO of Naval Base Coronado. So quite a tradition here in the room. And Caroline Murray, Coronado Historical Association board member. It's Caroline. Next, from the Coronado Detachment of the Marine Corps League, we have Commandant Alan Oz Broughton. We also have some former city council members who are also deeply committed to the Navy and the military. We have former Councilwoman Carrie Downey. And we have former Councilman Mike White-Woody. Great. So, and also I just want to make a special note. So in recognition of the honorees today, and the contributions to our rich history, the Coronado Historical Association is providing each honoree or their family or sponsor a 1-year complimentary membership to the association. So thank you, Dave and Caroline. Wonderful. Okay, so let's get the program started. So please rise, if you are able, for the parading of the colors and the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So thank you so much to the Coronado High School and the Junior ROTC. They do a fabulous job every time. And Deanna Holla, thank you so much for that performance. I always get goosebumps when she sings for us, so thank you again. Okay, so now for a bit of history about the program, just to orient some of the new families and friends and honorees with us today. So the City of Coronado introduced the Avenue of Heroes program in 2014, and so far we have honored 218 hometown heroes. Today we will honor another 12. The city funds all the costs for this program, and the Hometown Banner Committee, with staff, oversee its operation. The Hometown Banner Committee is a dedicated group of volunteers made up of 2 members each from the 3rd and 4th Streets Neighborhood Association, Coronado Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 2422, and Coronado Historical Association. Committee members have been instrumental to the program. They continuously help to encourage local military members, their family, and friends to submit nominations, as we need a constant supply, and we're amazed at the stories we receive twice a year. Select each group's honorees and act as liaisons between the city and the families. The city appreciates the tireless efforts of the Hometown Banner Committee members to keep the program going. It truly could not happen without them. So I, on behalf of the city, would like to recognize the committee volunteers that make this program possible. First, Lee Fulmer. And to my left, we have Jim Jameson. Chuck Lucas. We have Vince Marchetti. And next to him, Darlene Parker. And then Daniel Stewart. And working with the committee, we also have a special team with the city and the city manager's office. So I would like to recognize, with my deep appreciation, Kelly Purvis, Michelle Miller, Kelly Nichols, and Janine Zuniga. This is a dream team, and they worked very hard all year to deliver this amazing program for us all. And so in 2011, the inspiration for the program came spontaneously with the movement of 2 Navy SEALs to their final resting place. News spread quickly in Coronado. The local Rotary Club passed out American flags, People lined 4th Street to honor their fallen service members. As the procession approached the San Diego Coronado Bridge, a lone Navy SEAL stood at attention, saluting as he waited for the passage of his comrades. At that moment, it was clear that the 3rd and 4th Streets were already an avenue of heroes. I would like to tell you next about the Coronado resident who advocated for this Hometown Banner program. Tony McGowan became a proponent of honoring Coronado military members and encouraged the city to support and launch this program. And so the city designated State Route 282, the 3rd and 4th Street corridor from Orange Avenue to Naval Air Station North Island, as its Avenue of Heroes. And they granted McGowan's wish by adopting the Companion Banner program. McGowan passed away in early 2019, but she was able to see the program fully instituted and the banners of dozens of local heroes installed along the Avenue of Heroes before she died. And what a tradition she started and that we're carrying on today. It's very moving. The program was launched in May 2015 with 18 banners, and after today, we are up to 230 service members honored through the program. Heroes have been recognized from all branches of the military, the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps. There have been many honorees, from officers to enlisted, who have received a banner on the corridor. The 6-foot-tall banners are installed the week before Veterans Day in November and Memorial Day in May. Once retired and the new class is initiated, they are available to the honoree or their family. The city also provides the honorees or their families a keepsake miniature banner, which you'll see as we're calling up the honorees. They also receive programs and a lapel pin to commemorate their honoree. And so today marks our 15th class. So I would like to take a moment to recognize the sponsors and biography writers. Sometimes they're one and the same who help provide the words and images that are invaluable to helping portray the historic records and honorees' deeply human life stories. So when the honorees come forward, we have a nomination and we work with them to really develop the stories and the imagery. And so you're in for such an amazing array of stories and portraits. And the sponsors work very hard to bring this forward. So we are very grateful for you all who served this purpose. So thank you to the honorees, families, and sponsors for your contributions. And finally, before we get to the biographies, I want to thank our ushers today. So as you came in, you were greeted with some members of the Coronado High School women's lacrosse team, Ellie and Megan. So thanks to you all. Okay, so now turning to the program, Chuck Lucas, VFW Post 2422 Commander and Chairman of the Hometown Banner Committee, is our usual presenter of biographies. And not able to be with us today, as you heard, so stepping in from today is Daniel Stewart again, a member of the Hometown Banner Committee and retired Navy Captain and SEAL, representing the Coronado Historical Association. So please help me welcome Daniel Stewart and Jim Jameson, a retired Marine Colonel, Navy Aviator, and member of the Hometown Banner Committee, who will begin our formal presentation.
Welcome on this beautiful and very special day in Coronado. Again, I'm Daniel Stewart. Jim and I will now read the biographies of today's honorees in alphabetical order. After we finish each biography, we ask that the honoree, if present, his or her sponsor, and family members come up in front of the stage, where you see the small packages, to receive their mini banner and pose for photos. You may then return to your seats, and we'll allow ample time for movement between to and from. Our first honoree today is Seaman Second Class William Bill Bruce. Frank William Bill Bruce was born on New Year's Eve, 1927, in Denver, Colorado. His father was killed in an automobile accident when he was only 5 years old, and Bruce never spoke of his childhood or his early adulthood. But like many young men during World War II, he felt a duty to serve his country, and he enlisted in the Navy as a high school senior. After graduation, he left for boot camp in 1945 and then on to Coronado. Bruce was assigned to Naval Amphibious Training Base in Coronado, where the Navy established a major shore command supporting warfare training and operations. He served in the pay grade of Seaman Second Class, that's the equivalent of today's Seaman Apprentice, and was paid the princely sum of $54 a month. Honorably discharged in July 1946, His pride in serving in the Navy was reflected in the anchor tattoo that he sported on his arm. Bruce earned a pharmacist certificate through an internship program, and was the last to become a registered pharmacist without a formal degree. He worked for a private pharmacy before becoming a pharmaceutical sales representative for the Upjohn and Stapleton companies. In his final years, he returned to working for private pharmacies and Safeway grocery stores. Bruce married Joyce Benner, adopting her son, Gregory Steve, and together they had a daughter, Sandy Kay. The couple divorced in 1966, and in 1971, Bruce married Carol Castle. With a sense of humor that fell somewhere between dry and corny, Bruce was quick with a joke, loved making people laugh, and was always smiling. A gregarious soul, people close to him knew him to be a man of honor, a man who believed in family, and a man of his word. In short, a man much admired. He also was an excellent handyman, a jazz aficionado, a devoted Denver Broncos fan, and worked magic on the barbecue. On more than one occasion, he was heard to exclaim, "God, I'm a good cook." Following military service, Bruce lived briefly in Wyoming, then returned to Colorado. He passed away in 1986 at the too young age of 58. For his final wish, he was interred in Fort Logan National Cemetery, a national cemetery in Denver, Colorado. Thank you for your service. Receiving second class Bruce's family, please come forward. Next biography is for Commander Sherry B. Collins. Sherry's here with us. Collins was a Mustang, a shellback, and a master training specialist. She wanted to go to the Naval Academy, but in the early 1970s, that was not an option for women. So Sherry Bowling Collins enlisted in the Women Except for Volunteer Emergency Service, the WAVES, military unit as a seaman recruit, to fulfill a 4-year obligation and earn her GI Bill to go on to college. 30 years later, she retired as a commander. During her enlisted active duty, Collins served as a budget clerk, a plane captain, qualified hurricane evacuation storekeeper, flying in the back of a T-2 aircraft as a primary pilot training squadron in Meridian, Mississippi. She also attended junior college in the evenings and discovered a love for computers. She stayed in the Naval Reserves and served in positions in administration, management, and logistics support. After marrying her husband Jim, a fighter pilot in the Marine Corps, the couple moved to Hawaii, where she completed a bachelor's degree in computer science. After 11 years of enlisted service, she accepted a direct commission into the Office of Naval Intelligence. The couple's military service spanned tours in Hawaii, Texas, Virginia, Germany, and San Diego. Each move brought her a new Naval Intelligence Reserve Unit assignment, as well as a parallel civilian career as an intelligence analyst, systems analyst, database manager, program manager, or military intelligence computer systems instructor. Some of the highlights of her military career include being a shellback while crossing the equator aboard USS Blue Ridge, designation as an honorary tailhooker on USS Eisenhower, and earning her Master Training Specialist certification to instruct the use of a specially configured intelligence workstation while deployed to Alaska with the Arctic Warriors. Her final military assignment was as executive officer for a Joint Intelligence Pacific Reserve Unit in San Diego, where she took care of her sailors, the most important job in the Navy. Colin's mother is also being recognized today. This is our first mother-daughter honorees. Collins and her husband moved permanently to Coronado in 2015 and continue to stay active in the military and civilian communities. Their son, Matt, is an environmental lawyer for Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission and a Naval Reserve SEAL. Hoorah. Thank you for your service. Will Collins family please come forward?
We now have matching pairs.
This next biography is for Captain Dan Cook. Captain Dan Cook devoted a 25-year career of active duty service as a surface warfare officer and then civil engineer corps officer in the United States Navy. At the completion of the Naval Reserve Officers Training Corps program and a bachelor's degree in architecture from the University of Notre Dame, Cook was commissioned, trained, and served his first sea duty assignments in Norfolk, Virginia. He finished his career in Coronado after serving in 3 of his most memorable assignments: Commanding Officer of Amphibious Construction Battalion 1, Operations Officer for Naval Facilities Engineering Command, AFAC, Southwest, and Public Works Officer for Naval Base Coronado, where he led design and construction modernization efforts for the new coastal campus on the Silver Strand for the SEALs. Prior to assignments in Coronado, he was a commanding officer at the Naval Construction Training Center, Fort Hueneme, California. Overseas, he was the Assistant Regional Command Engineer in Joint Region Marianas, Guam. Other shore assignments included Executive Assistant to the Commander of NAVFAC Atlantic in Norfolk, Architect for Naval Station Norfolk's Public Works Department, and Construction Project Manager at Naval Station Great Lakes and Recruit Training Command during the recapitalization of the Navy's boot camp. Cook earned a master's degree in construction engineering from Purdue University. Operational assignments include service as the Operations Officer for the 22nd Naval Construction Regiment and Operations Officer of Amphibious Construction Battalion 2, supporting operations Iraq and enduring freedom. On board USS Arleigh Burke, Cook was a fire control officer and strike warfare officer. On board USS Nashville, he served as a repair officer and main propulsion assistant. In these assignments, he deployed to the Mediterranean, Europe, Africa, Cuba, and the Middle East. Captain Cook's personal awards include the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star, Meritorious Service Medal, Navy and Marine Corps Accommodation Medals, and the Navy Achievement Medal. He qualifies as a Sea Combat Warfare Officer and Surface Warfare Officer. He is also a registered architect. His wife Emily and 7 children support him all the way and are active members of the Coronado community. Thank you for your service. Captain Cook's family, please come forward. Next biography is for Rear Admiral Francis Foley.
Yeah.
Rear Admiral Francis Foley was a 1968 graduate from the Naval Academy. His initial assignment was to a destroyer. However, like many junior officers at the time, he was reassigned to Vietnam as a riverine warfare advisor. Recognizing his service during the tour, he was selected to be the aide to Rear Admiral Robert Salsa, commander of all naval forces in Vietnam. Upon return to the States, follow-on at-sea assignments included chief engineer of a destroyer, mod squad executive officer of a guided missile destroyer, and commanding officer of the minesweeper USS Fortify. During his minesweeping tour, Foley successfully located 2 aircraft lost in separate accidents off the East Coast. Subsequent at-sea assignments included commanding officer of USS Fletcher, a Spruance-class destroyer, USS Fox, a guided missile cruiser. During these command tours, Admiral Foley and his family lived in Coronado, and both his daughters graduated from Coronado High School. Ashore, Rear Admiral Foley served as head Navy Congressional Liaison to the Defense Appropriations Committees, where he worked closely with senior naval and congressional leaders for nearly 4 years. Upon selection to flag officer, he initially served on the staff of the Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Pacific Fleet as head of finance, budget, and personnel. During this tour, Foley was a staff officer responsible for overseeing the evacuation of all military personnel and dependents from the Philippines following the eruption of Mount Pinatubo. His follow-on assignment was Commander, Navy Region Southwest, colloquially the Navy Mayor of San Diego. Recognized for building strong working relationships with San Diego and Coronado communities, both city councils established Rear Admiral Fran Foley Days. Following his assignment as Commander of Training for the Pacific Fleet, he retired in 1996 and then served for 10 years as Vice President of Northrop Grumman's Undersea Systems Division. In retirement, Rear Admiral Foley has served as Chairman of the Naval Training Center Foundation, responsible for the conversion of the property into Liberty Station. As Chairman of the United Through Reading Organization, directly supporting military families worldwide, and currently serves on the San Diego Maritime Museum Board. Ever a sailor, and always flashing his $1 million smile, Admiral Foley continues to hoist the burgee of the Coronado Yacht Club. Thank you for your service. Admiral Foley's family, please come forward. Next biography is from Brigadier General Ward M. Lahardy. Ward Morehouse Lahardy was born in Annapolis, Maryland in 1934 to Navy Lieutenant Louis Hardy and Sarah Lahardy. When he was 7 years old, his father was killed in action while serving as a staff officer aboard USS San Francisco during the Battle of Guadalcanal. The family settled in Coronado, where Lahardy was raised in a little home on A Avenue. He attended Coronado High School through his junior year, where he made many lifelong friends. When it came time to enter college, he surprised many of his friends by selecting West Point over the Naval Academy. Lahardy joined the U.S. military academy's class of 1956, and while there, met the love of his life, Judy Pound Evans. They were married in November 1956, and a 62-year romance ensued. Following graduation, Lahardy served in Korea and Vietnam. Other tours included Japan, Germany, Italy, the Panama Canal Zone, and several posts in the United States. A highlight of his service came in 1974, when he formed and commanded the 3rd Battalion Airborne, 509th Infantry in Mainz, Germany, and led relocation of the battalion to Vincennes, Italy, becoming the only U.S. airborne unit in Europe. Well, Hardy was proud to be a member of the 101st Airborne Division twice. First as a lieutenant in the 1950s, and again in the 1980s as a colonel in command of 3rd Brigade Air Assault and as Division Chief of Staff. Hardy was promoted to the rank of Brigadier General in 1984 and went on to serve as Assistant Division Commander at the 4th Infantry Division in Fort Carson, Colorado, and the 2nd Army Chief of Staff at Fort Gillett in Georgia. After retiring in 1988, Hardy and his wife Judy set out to sail around the world. The couple circumnavigated the globe in their 39-foot sailboat, Cormorant, from 1991 to 1996. Their voyage included an emotional visit on November 13, 1992, 50 years later to the day, to the spot in the South Pacific where Hardy's father lost his life in World War II. Wardle Hardy was a patriot, and it was an honor of his life to serve our great nation. Thank you for your service. Family of Brigadier General Hardy, please come forward.
Is for Airman First Class Jeannie Glasses Martin. Many fine things have come from the Napa Valley in California, including Jeannie Glasses Martin. Martin was born on May 18, 1931 in Orland, California, and moved to Napa at 10 years old. A graduate of Napa High School, class of 1949, she was the first Napa woman to join the military during the Korean War and was among the largest single group of women in the San Francisco area to enlist in the Air Force in 1950. She attended clerk typist school at Fort F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming and was stationed at the former Hamilton Air Force Base in California while serving as a WAC, Women in the Air Force. She was honorably discharged as an Airman First Class when she married her husband, who was also in the Air Force. They were stationed at the former Tachikawa Air Base in Japan and the former Winslow Air Force Station in Arizona. When Martin moved back to Napa in 1966, she became the third woman in Napa to be hired by the U.S. Postal Service. As a dedicated mail carrier, she enjoyed being a friend, counselor, and helpmate to those on her routes. She retired from the Postal Service in 1991 and continued to live in Napa until moving to Coronado Retirement Village in 2009. Where she enjoyed staying busy and having fun. She was an accomplished flower arranger, having formal training in the Japanese-style ikebana. She loved the artist Monet, winning at bingo, and finding great bargains at garage sales. When Jeannie passed away in September 2013, a small memorial service was held in Coronado, and she was laid to rest next to her mother in our Mother of Sorrows Catholic Cemetery in Reno, Nevada. She was the mother of 5 children, sons Michael Boland of Winters, California, Gary Boland of Phoenix, and Mark Martin of Napa, and daughters Kathleen Martin Cooney of Napa and Sherry Boland Collins of Coronado, who was honored earlier in the program. Jeannie Martin was a very proud charter member of the Women in Military Service for America Memorial, now the Military Women's Memorial in Washington, D.C. Visiting it was on her bucket list, and happily she accomplished that visit in the summer of 2008. Thank you for your service. Will Airman First Class Martin's family please come forward? George Nassif. Lieutenant Colonel George Nassif joined the Marine Corps shortly after high school graduation in 1934, starting out as a bugler. While serving aboard USS Lexington, Nassif became interested in flying. Against all odds, he was selected from the enlisted ranks for training and received his naval aviation pilot certification on March 18, 1942. He was sent to Naval Air Station North Island for further training. He became a flying sergeant in the Marine Corps Scout Bombing Squadron BSMB 131, the first squadron of its type, and he and 3 of his brothers would all serve in World War II, one in the Army Air Forces, one as a corpsman, and one as a photojournalist. Nassif and his unit arrived in Guadalcanal in January of 1943. His first mission on January 28, 1943, was to attack a Japanese supply convoy escorted by destroyers. Here, he was the first Marine Corps torpedo pilot to hit an enemy destroyer directly, sinking it. He received the Distinguished Flying Cross and a promotion to second lieutenant. He went on to earn several air medals for actions in the Solomon Islands campaign. Nassif ended the war as a Marine captain. Not too bad for a man still officially on the rolls as a staff sergeant. To keep his battlefield rank, he had to pass an officer candidate test. As he turned in his test papers, the officer in charge shook his hand and knowingly said, "Congratulations, George." In the summer of 1943, Nassif joined Air Squadron BMTB 242 and was selected to train the new squadron up to combat readiness. He went on to participate in the Battle of Bougainville and the Marianas. In 1952, he continued serving his country and participated in the action against enemy forces in Korea. He arrived in Korea as a major and assistant commander of the 1st Engineer Battalion, where he was commended with Combat B for his personal initiative and selfless dedication to duty. He was promoted one last time to Lieutenant Colonel. He did not come back home unscathed, however. His service brought with it great challenges that today we might call post-traumatic stress disorder. Nassif retired in 1956 after 22 years of service to the Marine Corps and his country. Thank you for your service. Lieutenant Colonel Nassif's family, please come forward. This next biography is for Captain Robert Brick Nelson. Robert W. Brick Nelson, Jr. hails from the Pacific Northwest in Southern California. The oldest of 10, Nelson excelled in athleticism, communicating, intelligence and wit, patience, and especially leadership. He became a Navy strike fighter pilot in 1975, earning his Brick call sign deploying in A-7s, F-4s, and F-A-18s on USS Ranger, Midway, Theodore Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, Enterprise, and Harry Truman. He was a training command instructor in Texas, Superior Air Wing 5 Landing Signals Officer in Japan, and Fleet Replacement Squadron instructor in Florida and Nevada. He commanded Strike Fighter Squadron 105 and Carrier Air Wing 3. Ashore, he served as commander of Naval Air Force Atlantic's F-18 Program Manager, Senior Fellow for the Strategic Studies Group, and Deputy Director of Chief of Naval Operations, Deep Blue Office. Nelson accumulated more than 7,800 flight hours and 1,400 arrested landings. His awards included Legion of Merit, 2 awards, Bronze Star, and 2 individual air medals with V for valor. He is also an esteemed member of the Early and Pioneer Naval Aviators Association, or Golden Eagles. Nelson defines the quintessential fighter pilot. He is a gifted thinker, communicator, planner, tactician, leader and warfighting aviator. His extensive tours of duty experiences and list of exceptional talents, however, fall short in describing him. Retiring in 2005, Nelson returned to Southern California as the director of Northrop Grumman's Aerospace Systems Business Development and Strategy and CEO of Tier 1 Defense and National Security. He additionally spent time as a board member for the San Diego Navy League, Fleet Week San Diego Military Advisory Council, Tailhook Association, and Tailhook Education Foundation. At the 2022 Tailhook Convention, Rick received an emotional 10-minute standing ovation as he was given the Tailhook Lifetime Achievement Award. Nelson has 3 children, Robert Nelson III, Ian Scott Nelson, Caitlin Nelson Hobart, and grandson, Robert Nelson IV. He and his wife reside in Coronado. Nelson was an unrivaled flight lead and patient wingman. He remains a loyal shipmate, astute mentor, fearless warrior, and compassionate problem solver. Mostly, he is an unwavering friend and devoted sibling. Father and husband, everyone who knows him respects and loves him. Rick is our brother and hero. Thank you for your service. This next biography is for Captain Easton Jiggs Noble. Easton Jiggs Noble was born in Los Angeles on October 29, 1903 to William and Blanche Noble. After graduating from Hollywood High School and the University of Southern California with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, he was employed by Bach Aircraft in Van Nuys, California, and Warner Brothers Studio. In 1930, he enlisted in the U.S. Naval Reserve, and in 1931 was designated a naval aviator and commissioned an ensign in the U.S. Naval Reserve. Following service with Fighting Squadron 6B aboard USS Saratoga, he returned to reserve status in 1932. For the next 3 years, Noble was a commercial pilot flying passengers and cargo across desolate areas of Colombia and Mexico. Returning to the United States in 1936, he performed as an aerial stunt in an aerial stunt team called the Hollywood Trio. Recalled to active duty in 1937, he served as a flight instructor in Long Beach, California, before reassignment as a flight instructor in Naval Air Stations Pensacola and Jacksonville in Florida. Noble served aboard the aircraft carrier USS Lexington until the ship sunk in 1942 during the Battle of the Coral Sea. Transferred to the Northwest Sea Frontier Command, he assisted in the fitting out of USS Brenton and in 1944 of USS Saginaw Bay, both escort carriers. He assumed duties as Saginaw's air officer and then executive officer. In 1945, he transferred to Naval Air Station North Island in Coronado, followed by duty at Naval Air Engineering Station Lakehurst, New Jersey. In 1949, the former stunt pilot and presumed oldest Navy man to operate the windmill aircraft assumed command of Helicopter Combat Support Squadron 1, the Fleet Angels, at the former Naval Air Station Miramar. He served as the aircraft carrier USS Antietam's executive officer. Subsequent assignments included command of the Naval Air Station Reserve Training Unit, Jacksonville, Florida, USS Jupiter, and the former Naval Air Station Midway Island. The latter was cut short when he was transferred to Tripler Army Hospital for treatment of polio that was first identified by the movie crew during the filming of Mr. Roberts on Midway Island. Captain Noble retired in February of 1956. Upon retirement, Captain Noble and his family returned to their family home in Coronado In spite of being stricken with polio, he spent much of his time working at the golf course, driving around in his golf cart, and being a friend to all. Thank you for your service. Will Captain Noble's family please come forward? His biography is for Captain Peter E. Riddle. Captain Peter Pete Emmons Riddle was born in Chicago on April 2nd, 1938, the youngest of 3 boys to Hugh and Catherine Riddle. He was an outgoing student leader and athlete who earned the title Most Likely to Succeed from his Highland Park High School senior class. Riddle went on to play football at Yale, where he was also a member of the Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps unit. Upon graduation in 1960, Riddle was assigned to a destroyer, but soon became interested in underwater demolition teams, or UDT, and made his way out to Coronado to be part of UDT Class 28. After graduating in July 1962, he was assigned as platoon commander at UDT 12. After completion of active duty, Riddle attended the University of Chicago Law School, graduating in 1966. With the Vietnam War heating up, Riddle put his legal career on hold and was deployed to Da Nang as officer in charge of SEALs assigned to Naval Advisory Detachment Military Assistance Command Vietnam Studies and Observation Group, then engaged in classified special operations throughout Vietnam, for which the detachment was later awarded the U.S. Presidential Unit Citation. Riddle's superiors at the time wrote of his exceptional professionalism, competence, determination, and exemplary ethics. After the war, Riddle continued to serve in the Naval Reserve, including assignments in UDT SEAL Pacific Team 119, Naval Special Warfare Group 1. He retired as a captain. Riddle started a private law practice in San Diego, served on the Coronado City Council in the early 1970s, and raised a family in Coronado. He was appointed to the bench in 1987, where his assignments in the San Diego Superior Court included probate, civil litigation, juvenile delinquency, and dependency. Public service was an important part of his life. Captain Riddle was not only an outstanding naval officer, attorney, and judge, but the most wonderful and devoted husband, father, grandfather, and friend. Thank you for your service. Will Captain Riddle stand? next biography today is for Major and Commander John Sexton. John Sexton currently serves as the chaplain for the Coronado Detachment of the Marine Corps League. But he spent 37 years in a naval uniform, achieving the rank of Major in the U.S. Marine Corps and Commander in the U.S. Navy. He enlisted in the Navy in 1967 to attend the Naval Academy Prep School before attending and graduating from Annapolis in 1972. Major Sexton served in 3 combat arms as a Marine Corps officer from 1972 to 1983. He commanded 2 artillery battalions and an infantry company before serving as a tank battalion fire support coordinator. He earned a master's degree in counseling psychology from the University of Northern Colorado and a master's degree and a PhD in clinical psychology from the California School of Professional Psychology. He became a Navy clinical psychologist in 1983 and served in varied assignments around the world. Commander Sexton was one of the first graduates of the congressionally mandated Department of Defense Psychopharmacology Demonstration Project, in which he completed approximately 75% of the medical school courses at the Uniformed Services University School of Medicine, followed by a 1-year residency at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, both in Bethesda, Maryland. He was assigned to Naval Medical Center, Portsmouth, Virginia, and in February 1995 became the nation's first independent practitioner prescribing psychologist. He continued to serve as a prescribing psychologist with tours at Naval Hospital Camp Pendleton in Oceanside and Naval Medical Center, San Diego. Commander Sexton made more than 80 national and state level presentations to psychological associations and state legislators, and was featured in nationally broadcast radio and television programs. In addition to his many military awards, Commander Sexton received 2 American Psychological Association presidential citations. He retired after nearly 32 years of service as a naval officer, and then served as a staff psychologist at the Counseling and Psychology Services of the University of California, San Diego, where he co-founded the San Diego chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. In addition to his national impact on psychology and suicide prevention, Dr. Sexton helped our community by serving for 12 years on the Coronado Safe Board of Directors. Thank you for your service. Will Major Sexton's family please come forward?
Our last biography today is for Lieutenant Commander Thomas Cooley Watson. Lieutenant Commander Thomas Cooley Watson was born in Cadillac, Michigan in February 1932 to Richard Poole Watson and Pauline Ann Ovey. He graduated from Cadillac High School in 1950 and immediately reported to the United States Naval Academy. 4 years later, he graduated and was commissioned ensign in the United States Navy. Ensign Watson attended flight school in Pensacola, Florida, and proudly pinned on his wings of gold. He then transferred to Naval Station North Island in Coronado and reported aboard All-Weather Attack Squadron 35. After deploying to the Western Pacific aboard USS Shangri-La for 6 months, he made a second Westpac deployment aboard USS Ticonderoga. Lieutenant Junior Grade Watson then returned to the Naval Station North Island as a fighter pilot. Follow-on assignments included flight instructor and training officer in Pensacola, Florida, and Glencoe, Georgia. In 1963, he deployed for more than 14 months to the South Atlantic and Mediterranean, where he qualified as a surface warfare officer. After his deployment, Lieutenant Commander Watson was assigned as executive officer of Composite Squadron 5 in Okinawa, Japan. Subsequent assignments included Fleet Combat Direction System Support Activity in Point Loma, and Tactical Air Control Squadron 1 in Coronado. In 1969, newlyweds Watson and his wife Kirby celebrated the birth of their first son, Rod. A year later, their second son, Rick, was born 3 days after Christmas. In 1971, the Watsons purchased their home of 50-plus years on E Avenue in Coronado, and their sons began attending Coronado schools. Lieutenant Commander Watson retired in June 1974 with 20 years of service, many deployments, and credits toward a Master of Business Administration and Finance earned through night school. Along with being an active youth soccer coach, member of the Crown and Lions clubs, and real estate investor, Watson spent his retirement working as an energy manager for San Diego Gas and Electric, an auditor for the Southland Corporation, and finally, joining his sons in managing and operating the family ground transportation business, Avant-Garde Global Transportation. Cooley and Kirby enjoy hosting family and friends at their home, spending time with granddaughter Madeline. Summer concerts in the park and 4th of July continue to be family favorite activities. Thank you for your service.
We would now like to recognize all those current and former banner recipients who are here with us today. Please stand and let us know where you are. Thank you to all our honorees, their family and friends, the City of Coronado for its sponsorship, and all who helped put this event together. As we approach Veterans Day, we are honored to tell the stories of these local heroes and to show our appreciation for all they do and have done for our country. Now, I will ask Coronado City Manager Tina Friend to come up and close the ceremony. Tina.
So wasn't that wonderful?
Yes.
Yes. Program where I just get to sit down and listen to these amazing biographies and stories, and I always come away so moved, so inspired, and just blown away by the dedication and service and the heart they bring to their careers and to their families and communities. So thank you so much to our honorees and to the families and friends who are that network supporting them as they support you. So thank you so much. Okay, so we have a couple more things to go over before we set everyone loose for the reception. We had something interesting and different this year with a new project. So earlier this year, the city and the Hometown Banner Committee were approached about an idea a local Coronado Life Scout envisioned for his Eagle Scout project. Cole Bennett of Troop 801, are you here, Cole? There he is. Oh, all right. To help those who are visually impaired that also tied in with the idea with the Hometown Banner program. Cole's idea to have his fellow scouts read and record each biography from the 14th group of honorees became a reality. The Coronado Historical Association is sponsoring the project and provided a page on its website at the Coronado on his website for the recordings. So Cole is a freshman at the Coronado High School School of Arts. He's already begun working on the biographies of those honored at this November 2022 ceremony. And so the city and the committee thank you, Cole, Troop 801 and the Coronado Historical Association for this great idea to be able to have these words captured on recordings. Thanks so much. You can find the link and listen to the recordings in this program today. So thanks again, Cole. Although many of our honorees today have illustrious careers, you don't have to have a Bronze Star or a Purple Heart to be honored along the Avenue of Heroes. Any serviceman or servicewoman who has honorably served our country and lived in Coronado is worthy of recognition and may be nominated by family or friends. We are forever grateful for each and every military member's service, and we'd love to honor more of you as the years go on. But before we close, we have one additional hero to honor this morning. So I would like to honor Senior Management Analyst, Public Information Officer Extraordinary, and Honorary Chorizo Chef, Janine Zuniga, who is right there. Janine has worked at the city for 11 years and is retiring next week. And for those who know Janine, you know this. For those who don't, you need to know she's integral to this program. She is a true hero and absolutely wonderful. So Janine, please stand and come up so we can recognize you in all of the work you have done for the City of Coronado and for this program. So on her banner, can I read it? It says, Hero of our Avenue, Janine Zuniga, PIO Extraordinary and Chorizo Chef. So, thank you. So this concludes our program. Again, nominations are accepted year-round. We put on this ceremony twice a year. We truly, truly love doing this. I think this is one of the most fantastic things our city delivers. Please enjoy the refreshments on your way out. And again, our warm appreciation and thanks to the honorees, past and current. Thank you to our dignitaries for attending today. Thank you to the friends and family. Have a